Our top stories. President Duterte accepts the resignation of Wanda Tulfo Teo, but the former tourism chief is not yet off the hook on the multi-million peso TV ad controversy. A hefty cut in charges for Meralco customers will tell you how much you'll save in electricity bills this month. And Hollywood icons take us to church in style at the Met Gala. Tourism Secretary Wanda Tulfo Teo offered to quit her post after a controversial ad placement by her department in a television show of her brothers on the government network. Teo handed in her resignation letter to the palace yesterday afternoon before a cabinet meeting. She attended a meeting where she was photographed greeting President Duterte with a handshake. Speculations arose Teo was forced to step down, with Mr. Duterte expecting her to do the right thing. The president accepted Teo's resignation today. The former tourism secretary had first explained she knew nothing about the ad placement, but yesterday her lawyer said someone in her department had her sign the documents. The ad placement is worth 60 million pesos. Duterte had said before that he would fire anyone on just a whiff of corruption. Wanda Tulfo Teo's lawyer says the former cabinet secretary was left with no choice but to resign. He says critics are using a questionable advertising deal between a government television network and her brother's production outfit to undermine the Duterte administration. While Malacanang does not see Teo's resignation as a sign of guilt, it expects the ombudsman to investigate complaints against Teo and other officials involved in the deal. AC Nichols reports.
Resigned Tourism Secretary Wanda Teo wants to protect President Duterte, so she gave up her post over a questionable tourism ad placement in the government TV station. Her lawyer Ferdinand Topacio made the statement after confirming his client's resignation. Topacio said the decision was made after a long thought process, and Teo ultimately felt she had no choice because the president's enemies were using the DOTP TV ad controversy to undermine the administration.
Things were in a state of flux the past few weeks, and she is human after all, and she is subject to a lot of different influences and pressures. And I think we should just respect the fact that she finally thought that it would be better to spare everyone further pain, including the president, to simply leave the office.
He says Teo is sad, but at the same time relieved about leaving the DOT. Teo came under fire after the Commission on Audit questioned the Tourism Department's 60 million peso ad spend with PTV4. The government network then placed the spots on the show of her brothers, Ben and Erwin Tulfo. Topacio says there's no truth to reports Teo was fired. He explained Teo arrived at the cabinet meeting Monday night with a resignation letter, which she handed to the executive secretary. She then had a one-on-one talk with the president. And what was the president's response?
The president trusted her to do what she thought was right.
Malacanang, meantime, does not see Teo's resignation as a sign of guilt. But leaving her post does not mean she's off the hook either. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque says the ombudsman should look into possible criminal complaints against Teo and other officials involved in the deal.
Hinaya na po ng palasyo sa ombudsman na mag-imbestiga para malaman kung may pananagutang kriminal pa po si Secretary Teo. Inaasahan po namin ang mabilis at transparent na investigasyon ng ombudsman.
Her exit was sudden, but Teo is not running away from issues. Topacio says his client has nothing to hide, and she is prepared to answer and face allegations at the proper forum. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
Malacanang says President Duterte's State of the Nation address this year will veer away from traditional speeches. Speaking to CNN Philippines, presidential spokesman Harry Roque says the new format is being finalized. In the president's second sauna last year, Mr. Duterte tackled a wide range of issues from martial law to mining to the reimposition of the death penalty. Roque says the president's sauna in July will focus on what the president wants to relay to the people.
We talked about the State of the Nation address and a new format that may be adopted for the State of the Nation address.
New format meaning?
There's speculating on a new format, which I'd rather not divulge now, no, in case they want it as a surprise of sorts. No? But it's not going to be a traditional State of the Nation address.
Conditional, sorry?
It's not going to be a traditional State of the Nation. Yes.
I see. Well, in the past there had been, for example, the Lenny Skutnik approach, using human props, video presentations. How are they going to depart from the traditional sauna?
I would rather that the Cabinet Secretary or PCO divulge it, but I think they're finalizing plans yet. No? But as far as the speech is concerned, I think this time around, the speechwriters are now giving the president leeway to say what exactly he wants to the Filipino people, and that the reporting on accomplishments may take place in other venues. So the president's persona will be solely what the president wants to relay to the people.
Earlier this evening, President Duterte led the oath-taking of new generals, including AFP Chief General Carlito Galvez. As we speak, the generals are having their photographs taken with the president in Malacanang. President Duterte will visit Benham Rise next week. Malacanang says the trip is on May 15th and 16th and the 16th to commemorate its renaming, or the renaming of Benham Rise to Philippine Rise. That trip will also launch a scientific research participated in by around 50 scientists. Benham Rise is an undersea plateau covering 13 million hectares, some 135 miles off the coast of Aurora province. The United Nations has recognized it as part of the country's extended continental shelf, where it has sovereign rights. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the president will not take sides between China and the United States in relation to China's reported deployment of missiles in disputed areas in the South China Sea.
Hindi naman natin binabaliwala, may mga hakbang na gagawin. Hindi lang pwede i-anunsyo, hindi lang po pwede na araw-araw pag-usapan. Pero at the same time, mas minabuti ni Presidente na wag kumampi sa kahit kaninong partido dito sa nangyayari dito sa West Philippine Sea. To him, an independent foreign policy, yung independenteng panglabas na relasyon, ang pinakamabuti pa ring posisyon, dahil kung magkakaroon ng komprontasyon sa parte ng Amerika at ng China, ayaw naman niya isugal ang buhay ng mga Pilipino dahil wala naman tayong interes sa ganyang komprontasyon kung mangyayari man.
President Duterte appoints a special envoy to Kuwait. Abdullah Mamao, who is the president's advisor in OFW affairs, comes on board after the Kuwaiti government expelled Ambassador Renato Villa and declared him persona non grata. Malacanang says Mamao will see to it that the 3 Filipino diplomats facing kidnapping charges will be able to come home. They were involved in a rescue operation for distressed Filipino workers and have sought refuge in the Philippine Embassy in Kuwait. President also hopes to finalize a memorandum of agreement with Kuwait to protect Filipino workers' rights in the Gulf state.
The mandate of Secretary Mamao is to bring everyone home and to possibly normalize ties with Kuwait, what we hope to achieve, because MOA will completely normalize our ties.
Mamao met with the president last night to report about his recent trip to Kuwait. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said Mamao had good news, but added he will withhold the announcement until there is actual realization of what has been achieved. Roque said Mamao will be sent back to Kuwait as soon as possible under the president's orders. This is not the first time Abdullah Mamao's name was mentioned as a possible mediator. Labor Undersecretary Jing Paras told CNN Philippines last week Mamao was on his way to Kuwait. Kabayan Representative Acoy Calalang also named what he called experienced people who can properly represent Manila.
We have former Secretary of Labor Marianito Roque and former OWA Administrator Angelo Jimenez, who I think the President could hire to mend this relationship with Kuwaiti. We need more experienced people in the labor and foreign department sector.
Presidential Assistant for OFWs, Mamao, is there. He's also talking to the people in the foreign ministry. And it seems he's making headway.
Okay.
And of course, our good secretary, Secretary Bello, is about to leave also. And he will be meeting his counterpart, and will also try to mend the sour relationship, so to speak.
Moving on to global headlines, U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to announce tomorrow if Washington is staying with the Iran nuclear deal. In a tweet, Mr. Trump said he would reveal his decision at the White House at 2 in the afternoon Tuesday. That's 2 in the morning tomorrow, Manila time. Mr. Trump has been critical of the Obama-era deal, which is aimed at curbing Iran's military capability in exchange for the lifting of international sanctions. Iran earlier warned the U.S. against making, quote, a historic mistake by abandoning the deal. The Nigerian army rescued more than 1,000 Boko Haram captives in Borno State, northeast of Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The hostages were mostly women and children, as well as young men forced to become fighters. This follows the release of over 100 schoolgirls kidnapped from Dapchi, a town in Yobe State, also northeast of the capital, in March. According to a UNICEF report, Boko Haram has kidnapped more than 1,000 children in Nigeria since 2013. An Australian think tank ranks the U.S. as the most powerful nation in the Asia-Pacific region. Sydney's Lowy Institute places China as a close second in its Asia Power Index. The Philippines makes it to 16th out of 25 countries. The think tank ranked the countries on their level of influence and capability based on 8 factors, including economic, military, and diplomatic relations. It also looked at future trends or how strong the countries would likely be by 2030. Some good news for Meralco customers. Expect lower charges in your electricity bills this month. And Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan candidates are taking the challenge to prove they're drug-free. Those stories and more here in Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. President Duterte will create a 3-man panel of experts who will determine once and for all if the controversial dengue vaccine caused the deaths of a number of children. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said the president wants advice and clearer scientific findings from a third party amid conflicting findings from the Public Attorney's Office and the Philippine General Hospital. Roque said the president wants all experts in the panel to be Asian, no Westerners, the president said, and that they should have no links to the government. Roque said the president will be bound by the panel's findings.
As a lawyer and a former prosecutor, he knows that expert witnesses can cancel out each other's testimonies. In effect, he said that with conflicting testimonies from the experts from PAO and the PGH, he is constrained to seek further advice from disinterested parties.
The Public Attorney's Office in February said there is a link between the deaths of 22 children they autopsied and the dengue vaccine. The Philippine General Hospital's Dengue Investigative Task Force found out that out of the 14 deaths investigated, only 2 of the deaths may be due to dengue. Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan candidates rise to the challenge to prove they're drug-free ahead of elections on Monday. George Cahilas reports.
Hundreds of barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan candidates from 9 barangays in Quezon City rushed to the Cubao Police Station for voluntary drug testing. Saboy Vetus, a candidate for Kagawad in Barangay Valencia, says he was caught off guard by the announcement on the testing. While he's not required to do the test, Vetus believes that failing to rise to the challenge may cost him his candidacy, even his reputation.
Gusto ko rin naman mag-undergo ng gano'n para for transparency ba. Yun nga, baka kasi magamit sa politika. Kasi kung ipopost kasi nila na ito negative, ito positive, that is against human rights din yan.
The drug test will cost 180 pesos. The police say it's like an investment for the candidates, coming out clean to prove they're not taking illegal drugs.
Problema namin kung wala kami dalang pera. O hindi na kami na-inform na may bayad.
Alam namin sa sarili namin na hindi kami gumagamit. Para lang may record kami na wala talaga, na negative kami.
And for those who will skip the test,
noted lang sa amin and may possible police action. So this will be only a springboard, and then may treatment naman tayo ng information, and they will be given due process.
The police say they will release the names of both those who took the test and those who did not before the polls open on Monday. It's up to voters how they would use the information in choosing their bets. They clarify, though, that this is not a shame campaign.
For those who did not have the drug test challenge, it's a matter of guilt already. There's what you call a sense of responsibility for every Filipino, most especially those who are running for office, for the people to know who they really are. Not only by their resume or what, kung ano talaga ang ginagawa nila sa buhay nila. Kung involved sila sa drugs and they did not have their drug test challenge, well, 50-50. Sasabihin na ng tao, involved kasi yan.
With less than a week before the elections, the police hope for the full cooperation of candidates. They say if the candidates have nothing to hide, they might as well get tested. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The group Human Rights Watch says the PNP's drug testing challenge is coercive and threatening and may incriminate Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan candidates. The group adds it's also a way for the PNP to shortcut due process. Now on to stories from the regions. At least 267 candidates vying for barangay and sangguniang kabataan positions in Cebu province may not make it on election day. The local election office recommended their disqualification for a number of reasons. Some are not registered voters in their village, others are not even active voters. Some SK candidates are either overaged or underage. Their names will not be stricken out from the official list, as it would take time for the COMELEC Legal Division in Manila to decide on their cases. In Cebu City, 4 children died in a fire that hit at least 260 homes in the slum area of Ermita yesterday. 2 of the victims, aged 2 and 9 years old, were siblings trapped inside their home where the fire began. Their 13-year-old sibling and a 7-year-old cousin also died this morning at the hospital because of third-degree burns. The local disaster management office reported the fire displaced more than 2,600 people. The Health Department in Bicol reported a spike in the number of HIV cases from 123 in 2016. The number of patients rose to 226 the following year. Camarines Sur province had the most number of cases. Health officials said this is an alarming trend given the 83% spike in just a year. Napoleon Arevalo of the DOH Bicol said the rise in cases happened despite intensified intervention and collaboration between health officials and the community. Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno says impeachment is the only way to remove her from office. Sereno warned that dictatorship may prevail if the Supreme Court grants the quo warranto petition against her. The Chief Justice also says the Supreme Court's judicial independence will die if her colleagues decide to remove her. Sereno adds it could be time for her to resume her duties as Chief Justice, but she did not give a timeline on whether she will return to work.
Diktadorya ang magwawagi at maninanaig sa bansa kung manalo ang quo warranto petition at patay na ang judicial independence. Ang pagtatanggal ng isang mahistrado sa Korte Suprema ay hindi ayon sa desisyon ng barkadahan. Hindi pwedeng baliin ang sunod-sunod na mga jurisprudence, constitutional principle para lang tanggalin yung ayaw ng barkada.
Ako po ay naninilbihan lamang para sa taong bayan. Nakikinig po ako at pinag-iisipan ko po ito.
Reports say the High Court will decide on the quo warranto case on Friday, but that has yet to be confirmed. The government health insurance chief faces the media to defend her travel expenses that were questioned by the Commission on Audit. Auditors are asking Celestina de la Serna to explain the more than 600,000 pesos she spent for travel in just a year in office. More details from Rex Remigio.
We cannot emphasize more that these are purely official in nature and truly necessary in the performance of my duties as IPCO and as representative of the OFW sector to the Board of Directors.
She's not denying them, and PhilHealth Chief Celestina de la Serna says her travel spending and allowances are above board. This is her response to the Commission on Audit's claim of irregularity in her expenses. The amount in question, 923,000 pesos. Most, about 627,000 pesos, went to travel expenses. The rest are her allowances. De la Serna, who lives in Bohol, stays in hotels near the PhilHealth office in Mandaluyong City whenever she's in Manila, instead of renting a house. The expense comes amid PhilHealth's massive net income loss of 8.9 billion pesos last year. De la Serna was appointed interim PhilHealth president in April 2017. But in a separate interview with CNN Philippines, De la Serna insists all the expenses are legal.
I am asking the COA auditor to please reconsider yung aking mga documents na sana naman they will allow it because it is without malice talaga na I claim for it.
De la Serna says these are only reimbursements and went through strict accounting by PhilHealth and affirmed by the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations. But why does she need to go back and forth to Bohol? De la Serna says she doesn't want to pay the one-year lease on a rented house since she may not be appointed to the post permanently. De la Serna argues that her flight and housing expenses are modest.
Yun yung limit set by the corporation for officers. So I am well within the limit. Economy is the, I don't know if there is a seat in the wings of the airplane na mas mura, but I get the cheapest.
She hints she may have stepped on some toes with her reforms in PhilHealth, like the removal of the privileges of some board members, and they're getting back at her. De la Serna is hoping President Rodrigo Duterte would listen to her before deciding on her case. She also has a message for taxpayers.
To the public, I assure you that no money of the public is being used anomalously.
Rex Remitio, CNN, Philippines.
Heads up, Meralco customers. The power distributor is lowering charges this month. Rates will be cheaper by 54 centavos per kilowatt hour. That means a typical household consuming 200 kilowatts per hour will pay around 109 pesos less. Meralco says rates are down because of lower generation charge. This is the second time this year Meralco cut charges after 3 successive months of rate hikes. 2018 is shaping up to be a good year for oil giant Petron. Petron's consolidated net income reached its highest quarterly income in history at 5.8 billion pesos. It posted consolidated revenues of 129 billion pesos. This is 21% higher than the figure posted last year. The company explains improved operating efficiencies at its Bataan refinery contributed to its positive performance in January to March. Mr. Pure Energy Gary Valenciano sends a message to his supporters after his open heart surgery. And the biggest names in Hollywood strutted out in style at this year's Met Gala. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back. The Cleveland Cavaliers complete a sweep in the NBA playoffs. The Cavs squashed the Toronto Raptors in Game 4, 108-93. LeBron James displayed his brilliance on the court with 29 points and 11 assists. Cleveland is the first team to enter the conference finals. They await the Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia 76ers in the next round. And undefeated boxing icon Floyd Mayweather is in the country. He touched down early this morning, announcing his visit through social media. Mayweather has a perfect boxing record of 50 straight wins. He defeated A-Division champion Manny Pacquiao in their much-hyped showdown back in 2015. Tonight at 10, catch the PSL Grand Prix champions, the Petron Blaze Spikers, and the UAAP men's football champions, UP Fighting Maroons, live on Sports Desk. Pop icon Gary Valenciano gives an update on his health after successful open-heart surgery. In an Instagram video, Gary V says he's okay. He also thanked his supporters for sending their love through social media. The 53-year-old singer had surgery on Sunday to repair a blocked artery.
Hi, everyone. I'm A-OK. I'm here in the hospital pa rin. I'm recuperating. I did have a major bypass, but I'm getting better day by day. And one of these days, yan, babalik din ako sa ASAP, babalik din ako sa Your Face Sounds Familiar and Tawag ng Tanghalan. Paminsan-minsan, siguro mag-a-absent pa rin ako just to make sure that I'm in good shape. But the doctors are very satisfied with how it all turned out. My heart is actually in very good condition. Dun lang sa isang part na medyo delikado talaga. But I'm here. I'm okay. I love you all. And I'm thankful that God has given me so many people that have shared their love with me. And I'll see you soon. Okay? Don't worry na. I'll be okay. Your energy ulit.
It's that time of the year for the biggest night in the fashion world in New York, the Met Gala. Hollywood's biggest stars and fashion insiders gather for a cause. This year's theme, Heavenly Bodies, Fashion and the Catholic Imagination. The annual event is an invitation-only fundraiser to benefit the New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. Singer and actress Jennifer Lopez, one of the personalities who stood out, J.Lo, wore a black beaded gown with colorful gems forming a cross on her chest. Pop icon Madonna graced the event also in black with stunning accessories and a bouquet of black flowers to complete her look. Pop star Katy Perry was also a head-turner. That's as she paired her gold dress with 6-foot angel wings. Rihanna also brought her A-game to the event. She stunned the crowd in her white corset mini dress matched with a beaded papal crown-like headdress that's called Bishop's Mitre and a cape. And finally, rapper Cardi B showed off her baby bump in her first Met Gala event. She rocked a jeweled headpiece and a plunging beaded gown. And before we go, it seems 5 of the 6 original members of the Avengers are now linked for Infinity. Here we see Robert Downey Jr., who plays Iron Man, Jeremy Renner, who portrays Hawkeye, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, and Scarlett Johansson, who acts who plays the Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all assembled for a mission. And that's to commemorate the release of Avengers Infinity War with ink. RDJ reveals to EW that they, along with Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, now have matching tattoos. Downey Jr. says it was Johansson's idea to get inked. She, along with Evans, got the tattoo earlier in New York. Their tattoo artist then flew to Los Angeles to ink the other three. The tattoo is a stylized Avengers logo with the number 4 to commemorate the number of Avengers films and the number 6 to symbolize the number of the original members of the first Avengers movie. No tattoo, however, for the Hulk. Downey Jr. says Mark Ruffalo opted out. But a 6th person still got the tattoo. That's as the Avengers stars marked their tattoo artist with the same logo. Downey Jr. shared these photographs and videos on Instagram with one post captioned, "Now we are one." Avengers Infinity War has just become the fastest movie to rake in $1 billion in the global box office. The 4th Avengers movie will be out May next year. That's it for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm Pion Tavera. See you again tomorrow for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.